Hello, sinners, simmers, and spirits. Today, we are not playing with life. We are playing with the afterlife. Hi, sisters! The Sims dropped the trailer for Life and Death last month, and people died. Literally. As always, I predicted this pack over a year ago. The Sims 4 dying together. A full seance circle moment. And I'm starting to get the feeling that I'm psychic. If I wasn't so small and petite, I'd be a medium. But not even I could have predicted that we would get a supernatural pack very appropriately on Halloween, unlike the previous paranormal stuff pack that came out in January 2021.
You don't have lips!
And the werewolves game pack that was released in summer 2022. The werewolves were way too hot.
What was that?
Not like that, as in they were really sweaty. I had to take all of my werewolves to the groomers. Whose idea was this? This is also the second expansion pack we got this year. Just a few months ago, we got the XXX expansion pack. So we really have gone from cream to cremated. But before we get into that, the Divine is sending me a message. The Sims team is killing me with kindness. The spirits are telling me that this portion of the video is sponsored by The Sims. Now, the reason I look like the ghost of a Victorian orphan is because today we are celebrating the release of Life and Death, and The Sims actually sent me to get a makeover. But after this makeup transformation, I was certainly open casket ready. I was lucky enough to have my makeup done by the Shania Paris, winner of Glow Up Season 6. I brought Muffin along too, and Shania made me look drop dead gorgeous, literally. I am dead now. Dead, but I just had my last meal because I'm still eating. Slayed, but still slaying. I mean, make sure not to get too close to my cheekbones because they will cut you. They also gifted me these tarot cards. Death to all of them. And the cards are telling me that The Sims 4 Life and Death is now available to buy, and you can use code STEPH at checkout. Thank you to The Sims for sponsoring this section of the video. As always, want to specify this section, they don't have any input over the rest of the video. So let's continue with our regularly scheduled review. Boo! Into Creator Spirit, and I mean that literally because in the new update we can finally make ghosts in Creator Sim. The Death by Hunger icon did make me scream though. Why is she so skinny? She's on a Zempic.
I look pretty good for a dead bitch.
But of course we have Tisha, full name Morticia Adams, and she is here to put the fic in Gothic. This is my big titty goth girlfriend. The hairs are giving Draco Malfoy TikTok, although if I see one more fucking micro bang, I will put you in the microwave and watch you go bang. There's some new makeup and accessories, including ear stretchers, which I cannot look at without having the intrusive thought of, I should stick my finger in there. Which is highly inappropriate. Stretch her, I hardly know her. The rest of Creator Sim looks like the producers watched Wednesday and said, well, yes, Wednesday's child is friends with a crow. Let us cater to the pale people that like crows. Those Caucasians.
This is your man.
Yeah.
Speaking of murder, the clothes are to die for. No. There's a lot of lace, ruffles, high necks, just try not to die neck. Obviously, there is quite a distinct style to these clothes, although they do come in colors other than black. But if your style isn't haunted Victorian orphan, then these may not jack your lantern. But I even like the children's and men's clothes. I'm gonna make the Akatar Bat Boys and a goth baby.
Cut my life into pieces.
And finally, before death do us part, we have a new aspiration, Ghost Historian, and 3 new traits, Skeptic, Macabre, and Chased by Death. Death just wants me. I don't chase, I attract. Into Build by Die, we have a selection of items for bed, bath, and beyond. We've been missing a lot of gothic and castle building things, so I love seeing more intricate items. If I wouldn't set a light upon entering a church, my dream is to live in a church conversion. There's also some really nice greenhouse related items if gardening helps you feel more grounded as opposed to undergrounded. We have lots of beds for your slumber and lots of coffins, graves, and resting places for your eternal slumber. The death bed, if you will. We also have a full kitchen and bathroom set. Lots of things for the living room, lots of things for the dying room. There's a real mixture of gothic traditional items and more modern items, so there is something for everyone. But what is not for everyone is outdoor plants. Why do they keep only putting the plants in debug? The fuck? It's giving all grave and no yard. Gaslight, gatekeep, grave dig. We of course have a new world and underworld to be explored, and the town is called Ravenwood. What in the Pretty Little Lies, Alison De Laurentiis, she can't hear us, she's blind, evil British twin, money in the lasagna box is going on. There's even an old bell tower. No, I did not push Ian Thomas off the bell tower.
What are you doing here?
Ravenwood is actually based on Transylvania and Romanian revival style, which is interesting, seeing as you won't be Romanian in this world. There's 14 lots, including one in the underworld, which is for the Grim Reaper career, and 3 neighborhoods. Crow's Crossing. Why did the dead crow cross the road? To get to the other side. This is the dead center of town, where the Family Day event happens every Saturday. And this area, of course, has the new cemetery lot type, a haunted wishing well, and a town hall for finalizing your final wishes. Whispering Glen is a more rural, quiet area if you've had enough of people, and if you've had enough of living people. There is Mourning Vale, where the veil between the living and the dead is the weakest. Mourning as in mourning the dead, not as in mourning wood, although it is a very wooded, swampy area. And there's also woohooable crypts in the world if you do need to ghost bust away that mourning wood. Usually in The Sims we play with life, but today we're going to be playing with both life and death. I mean, Sims are always dying, especially if you play the game the same way I do. Any of my Sims are lucky if they come out alive, and today's Sims will probably be no exception. In the world, we have Morticia and Moses Adams, and the cast of Pretty Little Liars. Unfortunately, the game wouldn't let me remove Ezra fits this dick in your mouth from the household, but luckily the theme of this pack is death. Death! To all of them. But we're going to be focusing on the living first. Instead of working yourself to death, you can now work directly with Death himself. This pack has 2 full new careers, not part-time jobs, full-time. The first being Undertaker. I take ADHD meds, so I can't relate to being an Undertaker. I only take uppers, but I am familiar with letting people down. This isn't an active career. Thank God I don't need to see dead Sims with toe tags on and watch them go 6 feet under. That is far too many feet. A rabbit hole for digging holes seems much more appropriate. You'll occasionally get pop-ups for little tasks that may give you a performance increase or loss if you make a grave mistake, but who am I to judge how people earn their living? Moses the Mortician has a great ring to it. Both of these are kind of dying professions. I mean, the second career is literally the Grim Reaper. Death becomes her, more like I become death. This is actually an active career. You work in the underworld and start off as a Grim Turn, working Monday to Friday because I guess people just don't die on the weekends. They don't meet their end, just the weekend. And this career is so fucking dumb in the most fun way possible. The whole job is a parody of the AmeriCorps office experience. There's an employee of the month and it is always grim. You can order office supplies, check death trends, and you have to make sure that you're reaching your soul quota every week. Some days you'll get sent on a live reaping assignment, like when the comedian has killed it. It may have been stand up, but the crowd is lying down. They're all dead. This absolutely sent me. I didn't expect there to be multiple casualties on my first day on the job. Once you've determined the cause of death from various investigations, like checking for rigor mortis.
Who's Morris?
Checking their temperature and
Cash
stealing
grab.
money from their pockets, you can claim their spirit. Sometimes Sims will plead for their loved ones, but I have a soul quota to reach. I'm deaf. I literally can't hear them.
Jenna can't hear us. She's blind.
Now, this next feature goes out to all my TikTok witch baddies.
Don't you dare get naked for that motherfucker or ride his dangalanga, okay?
My moon is rising and I just pulled the 10 of penis calls. We have tarot in The Sims now. Unfortunately not star signs, but you can buy the basic tarot deck in buy mode. But do I look like a basic witch to you?
Yes.
I want that rare deck.
I want that deek.
There's a few different ways to find cards around the world by using your intuition, exploring the crypts. Some you might find in the bog, some you might find while you grave rob, but others you'll have to do various tasks to find. There's this big tree called the Guardian Tree, the Guardian of the Galaxy, where you can summon Alice the Weeping Mother. I was gonna leave her to it because Weeping Mother, that just sounds like a Friday night in my childhood home. But she wanted to find out what happened to her children, and I get to find cards along the way. So you know what? I'm gonna do it for the plot. The burial plot. Her children were all dead. Deimos was in the crypt. Freddy was a little ball ghost with a bow tie. Anne had children of her own and also died. And Edith is still a child.
Hello.
An angry little dead child. I believe children should be seen and not heard, but in this case, she shouldn't be seen or heard. Mama, a ghoul behind you. You can try to make contact with her, and it's seemingly random as to whether she chooses to accept you or not. But Tisha apparently had the power of God and anime on her side because the power of Christ compelled her, and Edith actually became my friend. As friends, you can ask her for the Mark of Edith, which basically means any wish you make at the well will come true. When you wish upon a well. So I wished for success in my career, and it instantly promoted me to level 3. Suck on that grim terms. I'm a necrotism baby. There's also a cult in the town called the Order of Lenore, who want to reunite all 25 of Lady Raven Dancer Goth's tarot cards. Ooh, Lenore fabric conditioner. You can find them around town at some of the new festivals, like the Family Day, where you will find Nyan Spectre, formerly known as the Sims 2 Nervous Subject. There's also free food, a crow specialist, and a lawyer who will help you write your will. Being a lawyer just doesn't pay what it used to. He can't even afford 4 walls to work out of. He's just set up at a desk in the park. And there's also Waylon the Ghost, Got You Up All Night Waylon, who you can buy ooky spooky collectibles from, like some of the tarot cards, a knife, people's souls. Perhaps you can also sell your collectibles to Nyan or offer to help him with 2 favors. The first called Macabre Mystery, which has you visit the Spectre graves, and these are no family burials. No. Every single deceased man has been a former husband of Olive Spectres. Ichabod Spectre, euthanasia, early demise, and rigor mortis. And the reason? Olive Spectre has sexual relations with the Grim Reaper. I mean, death comes for us all, but Olive comes for death. In fact, Nyan is the result of this affair. He is the living repercussions. The Grimm's child.
Daddy? Do I look like...
She even has a torture basement. Her current fiance is not safe. Count your days. And Nyan's second task was to deliver a package to Grimm himself, and I certainly delivered. The next town event is the AA meeting, as in Afterlife Anonymous. Pull up to the AA meeting, but everyone is dead because it's actually the Afterlife Anonymous function. Yeah, that might scare me sober, although at least there are spirits. I went to this as a temporary ghost because I'm an ally. I'm bisexual. You can become a temporary ghost by having an out-of-body experience at the Balfour Bog.
I almost got drowned to death by a ghost, for real.
Which is kind of like having a free trial at being a ghost, but if you do it too many times and forget to cancel your subscription, you'll be billed the full amount and ghost your mortality. Forever. Also, if you have the chase by death trait, every time you come close to death, he will send you a death threat. He's kind of obsessed with me. The 2 tasks the ghost host gave me were to make a cake for a sim that died via the cow plant cake, exposure therapy, and the second was to acquire ghost essence by scaring sims as a ghost, but I knew just the person to haunt.
You are disgusting, you are a liar and a psychopath, and you need serious help. So you don't even think for a second that you're trolling.
It's what she deserves. As an apology, I then invited Olive round to check out my new pet crow, but I guess she was still angry about the whole haunting thing. Get a grip. So she kept provoking Tippy the bird until he tipped over the edge. An unfortunate accident, but there is only room for one crazy bitch in Grimm's life. But at least now we get to test out the funerals. And I, for one, am spooked and gagged to say that the funerals actually work. I mean, the bar is literally in hell. It's in the underworld if something working in this game is a surprise, but it's a welcome surprise. Boom! And that's an unwelcome surprise. Funerals are free, so don't worry about having to pay for it in cryptocurrency. And they work similarly to my wedding stories, the only difference being that these actually work. You pick the deceased, the guests, hire mourners if your sim had no friends, choose the dress code, select the activities, and pick a venue. Our house is already a morgue. I got that mortgage, so I just held it here. But they really put the fun in funeral. I actually enjoyed playing this. Sims were engaged in funeral activities. Nobody was doing spontaneous push-ups. You can pour one out, pretend to wail, light a candle, give a eulogy. And if the sounds of Sims crying in unison gets too loud, just start a moment of silence. Silence! Olive, you are no longer alive. I think it's important to celebrate the dead, so I held her wake at the club with the Pretty Little Liars. And not to dance on her grave, but there's a new macabre dance ripped straight from Wednesday. Put your paws up, little monsters. But Crust Lord of the Century Ezra Fitz never made it to the costume party because he was parting with life. He had fallen from the bell tower. The felon fell. It's almost poetic, but even in death, there is life. This pack includes Soul's Journey, which is not about how many steps you get in a day. Through completing whims, your aspiration, and the new bucket list, you'll progress through the Soul's Journey and eventually unlock rebirth. Rebirth! Bucket lists are things your sim wants to do before they kick the bucket. You can either choose these randomly, pick from a category, or choose these completely yourself if you have the macabre trait or have recently witnessed a death. Both of which Tisha has, and this can be anything from throwing a costume party to woohooing in a crypt. With this pack including Rebirth, it was only a matter of time before I reincarnated Queen Liz into Morticia's child. Elizabeth unfortunately died of old age, cut down in her prime, and I had the option to rebirth her because she had hoarded so much wealth that she had completed every single wealth aspiration. You can rebirth into any household, so you can choose to live your next life rich, or unfortunately you can't implant them directly into the womb of another sim, which I think would have made slightly more sense than a random middle-aged man spawning into your apartment. Even rebirthing as an infant, they kind of just float into the world, but you can tell it was Tisha's biological child because it spawned in crying on the kitchen floor. They weren't really expecting a child, so I had to turn the crypt into a nursery, call it the crypt crib, and now they just have a child and no other sims will question where the child came from. They won't initially have memories or traits from their past life, but by talking to familiar sims and yourself, you can recall parts of your past and regain those traits. But now that Tisha had a family, now felt like an appropriate time to set up a will. I can barely find the will to live, but this is a will for death and what you'll leave behind to your family members, friends, even random acquaintances and charities. If you fucking hate your family, you can decide who will get your money, what happens to your dependents, your funeral wishes, even leave a personalized note.
You suck, you suck, you suck.
There's also the option to make certain objects heirlooms. Yes, this dog turd has been in my family for generations, but this town was no place to raise a child. In fact, nobody was being raised. They were all being lowered. The town had become plagued with mysterious murders, and for once, I'm not talking about the crows. Ezra, Jeffree Star, Shane Dawson, Flashback Mary, and all signs pointed to Morticia as the murderer, until she too was found dead, buried alive in her own garden. I'm dead serious right now. Upon dying, you can choose to become a playable ghost, a free roaming ghost, or rebirth, and we finally have a ghost skill tree, which you can also start working towards as a temporary ghost. The ghost skill tree is split into 3 sections: benevolent abilities to make lives easier, like repairing objects, improving Sims' needs, and spreading a positive aura, and the other side being menace Guna ghost abilities like cursing Sims, draining their lifespan, hanging them upside down so their money falls out and you can steal from them, and having public ghost sex in whatever object you desire. Will you take the red ghost pill or the blue ghost pill, or the politically neutral ghost pill, which involves teleportation and stopping need decay. Also, stopping need decay. Why do ghosts even have needs? I mean, what's gonna happen if my ghost starves? Are they gonna die? Newsflash, they're already dead.
Oh, she passed away? Oh, all right.
Unfortunately, you don't keep your job when you die, so I had to rejoin the reaping career and then went to the well to keep wishing for career success for my job in hell. Went to the well for my job in hell. But now that Tisha was dead, something had changed between her and Grimm. It's like he wanted to undertake her. He even face revealed to her, and if we've learned anything from YouTubers, you should keep the mask on. Keep your grim grimace to yourself. But I do want to see your grim gooch. And I wanted to see him all the time without having to resort to murder, which is only possible by completing the tarot card collection. So I sent Morticia to the Moon Revelry Festival where Sims worship the moon and also start mooning. You can find the Widowed Father order member here, and after completing his task, you'll receive his cards. And then the final Death Obsessed order member you can find at the Find Festival tarot booth. And she has you find her a death flower and create a memorial display. I obviously made one to memorialize myself.
I'm gonna miss you so much.
I am dead, and with that, I have completed the tarot deck and can now spawn Grimm at any time. Reap her. I hardly know her. And luckily for them, as a ghost, Tisha has unlocked the perk that made every object woohooable. Places you can ghost bust include the oven, the toilet, you can yearn in the urn, you can even woohoo in actual horse shit.
They can woohoo in a horse poop.
Just 2 goyles, 1 cup. There's also a try before you die casket sale, which I brought from even though I had already died. She is a casket case. But with that, it was finally time to lay Morticia to rest. Murdered in her own home with no justice. The funeral service was beautiful and tasteful. Her will was read out and the message read, "I'm still here, bitches. Tea." And that's when none other than Tisha Potatoes walked into the church.
I look pretty good for a dead bitch. She's alive!
The real Tisha had been kept in Morticia's basement dollhouse this whole time, but the doll was finished playing, and with the help of the Pretty Little Liars, she finally took out her evil imposter British twin for good.
Hello, sister.
I mean, she stole my whole life, so I escaped and sent her a cease and desist. Bye, sister! Into the reboo of this pack. This pack has returned my will to live. This has got to be one of the best packs we've had since Cottage Living. I'm Cottage Dying. Obviously, even the best expansion packs are never perfect, and with the $40 price tag, that is enough to make your heart stop. I would have loved to see more of a focus on elders in this pack. That may be a bit morbid, but elderly homes would have been a really great addition because this is life and death, not just death. The pack. I also think the skeptical trait doesn't make any sense because all Sims can see ghosts. Like, what is there to be skeptical about? I think it would have made more sense if only child Sims, macabre Sims, and Sims with like a special reward trait could see them. Also, the tarot cards themselves are just not that interesting. You can charge Sims for readings, but there's no career. And even if you just read yourself, you've been read. There's just kind of a little buff and that's it. I also wish you could be rebirthed as a pet. If I had the option to be reborn, there's no way in hell I'm doing all this again. One thing I do want to address is that there are no active seasons in this world. I can't tell you specifically why the Sims team chose to do this because the explanation on Twitter has been deleted because people on Twitter literally bullied one of the producers off the platform. But I do agree that if I've paid for a seasons expansion pack, I should be entitled to seasons going forward in every world, including new releases. But anyway, that is it for this video. We've hit the dead end. Thank you again to The Sims for sponsoring this video, and thank you to my patrons for supporting the channel. Your horoscope has just come in and it is saying that the next video will definitely be Sims Medieval. That video is just taking a lot longer than expected, but I will see you in the next video. Or not. Bye, bitch. The psychic sausage is here.